If you're in here, then I'm guessing you're wanting to learn more about Deadpool VR, which is why you clicked on the video that has Deadpool VR in the title and not My Little Pony Island Adventure. We'll talk about what the game is available on, how much it is, what the game is and its structure, as well as the features and content inside of the game to help you determine whether or not the game is right for you to buy. I also do want to preface that I am going to go as in-depth as I can, but make sure that anything that relates to the story and things that you'll want to discover for your own are on a base level so that I don't ruin anything with any spoilers. First off, the game is available on the Quest 3 and Quest 3S, but not the Quest Pro and the Quest 2. To my knowledge, this was a MetaQuest exclusive signed deal, so it's not going to be releasing on any Steam systems or PSVR 2. It also won't be releasing on the Quest 2 because Meta is trying to phase out that system. They're going to be discontinuing the Quest 2 as I talked about in a different video. And you can verify the availability of the systems by checking their store page, because all the store pages on Meta do say what headsets they run for. Additionally, if you check the store page, you'll see that the game is $50, making it one of the most expensive VR games on the Meta store. Which is one of the reasons why I made this video, because I know that a lot of you are wanting to see whether this game is worth it or not. But if any of you are familiar with my main channel, VR Central, you'll know that you can get 10% off everything on the Meta Store for games and accessories. Just use VR Central as one word on the Meta Store in the Apply Promo section and it'll give you a discount. And for full disclosure, the payback I get for this stuff is very minimal, so don't feel like you have to use it to help me out or anything. If you find a promo code that gives you a bigger discount, please by all means use it. I only signed up for this because I want to be able to give people a discount. And also on VR Central, my goal is to upload full gameplay videos of each of the levels pretty much every single day back to back. So I hope you go check out that channel in case you want to see some gameplay of me going through the actual game itself. Now let's get into what the game actually is. At its core, it is a story-driven game with classic Deadpool style comedy. 80% of it is filled with fighting and Deadpool dialogue. For example, here you have to take out 4 waves of enemies as you hear him exchange dialogue with the ninjas he's fighting, as well as his co-pilot on this adventure.
It's not delivery, it's Ninjorno! What are the chances we're spared another wave of dipshits and the door just opens?
There are 4 statues.
Yeah, but comedy comes in 3s. Sometimes I do too. Does Mojo World have an HR department?
It just occurred to me. I'm going to kill you when this is over.
The remaining 20% is cutscenes, side quests, and exploration for collectibles. For example, with the side quests, I got to this certain area on the second world where I had to complete the final will of these ghosts, like planting a flower, feeding this girl's hungry cat, finding a sex move, and this copyright infringement.
All who stood on our way as we journeyed towards the one thing that would make me Emperor of the Brigands. The one thing.
Dude, it's the one piece, not thing. One Piece. Everyone knows. Fine, you're a knockoff One Piece. What do I have to do to get the door opened?
While it may not seem like a lot, the game actually has a pretty interesting way of expanding the content inside of it, if you're into what it's offering, which I'll explain in a bit. Also, the cel-shaded art style did make me feel like I was playing a Deadpool comic brought to life, rather than a traditional VR fighting game. I can't say whether or not I would like it any more or less if they went with a realistic style, but I certainly didn't like the game any less because of it. The structure of the game is fairly straightforward. Without spoiling too much, this legally distinct member of the Hut clan is also known as Mojo, who owns a popular streaming network filled to the brim with blood and gore. Your job as the Merc with a Mouth is to travel around these worlds and beyond to defeat these bosses, essentially kidnapping them to fight in Mojo's games, which you've been told that you'll be heavily compensated for. So essentially, you travel to a world, fight various waves and styles of enemies, kill a boss, and repeat. Additionally, there are pause points in between for various things like this mini world in between 2 boss kidnappings. I mean legal acquisitions, where you participate in a series of violent games for the entertainment of Mojo and his network, along with different Deadpool variants that you're not sure if you should be attracted to as or not with Deadpool. I mean, just imagine the amount of things this guy can do with just being a head. There are different things around the world that you can interact and discover if you like as well. For example, each level has a certain amount of collectibles like these comic books and interactables like how this slot machine actually took my money when I pressed the button to gamble inside the game. The comic books do unlock official Deadpool art, as you can see inside the gallery when you go back to the hub. The other thing that expands the potential for this game is that it heavily leans into the amount of Deadpool's dialogue and one-liners. For example, the game does have different dialogue whenever you're fighting enemies that change depending on the enemy type, like fighting ninjas versus demons. However, with the amount that Deadpool talks, sometimes during basic fight scenes you might hear him repeat himself with the same lines after a period of time. However, you do get different line variants during longer talking dialogues between him and the other characters randomly while playing the game. So if you decide to replay the game to try to find the collectibles, you might hear him say something different. Additionally, if you want completely new dialogue throughout the game, you can fully replay it by replaying the game as a Deadpool variant. For example, after that first arena mini world that I discussed earlier, you unlock Lady Deadpool. After unlocking her, you can go back to previous worlds, hear new dialogue, unlock special doors that only she can unlock, and definitely not spend excessive amounts of time staring at her chest, you gooner. You may not think anybody was watching with that thing you did in VR chat, but Pepper Trom remembers. In addition to dialogue changes that you get with the Deadpool variants, you can also earn in-game money to spend on cosmetics and weapon changes. Grenades can turn into shock bombs, pistols can turn into shotguns, you can even have swords that have certain weapon variant abilities, like being able to throw it and it comes back like a boomerang or reflect projectiles. The way that you actually get the money inside the game is probably one of the most interesting mechanics I've seen in a while. It kind of reminds me of a first-person combat version of content warning. As you're going through these worlds trying to kidnap the bosses, you fight waves of enemies, as I stated before. However, the game actually registers on how you kill the enemies. Doing something just like shooting them in the chest repeatedly will probably register as a minimum effort kill. Combining methods like throwing a katana, shooting, kicking, and then grappling the enemy will yield a higher tier of kill, because everything that you're doing is being casted to the Mojo network. So as you're playing, you gain viewers. The more viewers you have and the higher tier kills, the more money that you gain for unlockables. However, these unlockables are mainly for replayability and expansion of minor parts of content. You don't have to play for higher kills if you don't want to. It's just a fun mechanic to strive for. You even get chat that corresponds to how you do during it. They're positive if you do well, they call you mediocre if you do poorly, and you can even have people trying to sell you things in your live stream chat. Just like a real live stream! Now, the most important question that all of you are asking, and maybe even the main reason why you tuned into this video, is this game worth it? I'd say the answer is going to be very different depending on who you are. There are plenty of people online who says that this game looks awesome and that they're buying it day one. Others say that the game looks awful and they're not going to waste their money on it. And for the people asking Lady Deadpool to have a bikini variant, I told you to go back to VR chat! If you love Deadpool and the personality of Deadpool, like the funny situations, the one-liners, and things like that, you're going to love this game. It is very dialogue heavy, and a lot of the situations play into how Deadpool would react in those scenarios.
Ah, the sweet sleep of suffocation. Why do I sound all echoey? Ah, internal dialogue. This is CNN. Damn, Daniel. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Yeah, this will be fun.
And while this game does have proper mesh gliders throughout it, it is more of an arcadey combat experience rather than pure physics-based combat like Blade and Sorcery. So if you think Deadpool is just okay and you're of the mindset that Blade and Sorcery is the best combat game for VR, then you might not like this game. Additionally, I know the art style can be a turnoff for a lot of people. However, having this cel-shaded art style was a nice change of pace, at least for me, from the typical VR games that I've played. It did make the game feel more like a cartoon or a comic brought to life rather than a realistic combat game, but it didn't really make me enjoy the game any less because of it. Deadpool is one of the few exceptions where this could have been pulled off. If Batman Arkham Shadow launched with this type of style, it would have completely flopped. But for the Merc with a Mouth, it seemed to fit pretty well. But once again, the mountains of Deadpool dialogue, the arcadey combat, the price, and the art style may not be for everybody. If you're okay with the arcadey type combat and you really love Deadpool and his quips and his one-liners and the wacky scenarios that he gets into and the randomness of ways that he responds to people, I think that you will love this game. It is very dialogue heavy and it plays heavily into you just getting to have fun and finding unique ways to be able to mess with and kill enemies. However, if that's not for you, I don't blame you. This really went in a very different direction than a lot of mainstream VR games that I've seen. However, if you need to see longer form gameplay to be able to see more about what this game encompasses and what it's about, I'm going to be consistently uploading long form gameplay day after day with this campaign on my main channel, VR Central. It's right there. That's why I have the neon sign. I personally loved the game, but I hope that I could give a clear and concise rundown of it to help some of you make the right decision about whether or not it's right for you specifically. Thanks for staying awesome. Make sure to put in maximum effort, and I hope to see all of you in the next one.